Hey there guys, it's Metro, and today we are back again, me and Cop returning to the new player series, and this time we're going to be covering Mechagon. Now we are starting with Mechagon Workshop, which is colloquially known as Upper Mechagon, obviously mirroring Karazhan, but we just did this, me and Cop, not actually on a 15. What do you think about that?
It was difficult, but it was definitely doable. It was fun.
Yeah, I would have to say it was a good summary of everything we've been doing so far, right? Like that season 4, week 1, Cop manages to get a 15 done. Actually did multiple 15s,
Yeah.
and one of them was a brand new dungeon, one that he's never really done or tested before. So I feel pretty confident in doing this dungeon. We're on the PTR right now. I have a +2 with Awakening on it. I believe that works that way. Let me make sure the but yeah, it should. It has Awakening on it. We can make any key we want on the PTR. So we're going to test this out. We're just going to do it like we've been doing with the other part of the series. But I want to show you where the obelisks are here because this is a very important part of this dungeon. And I have to say before we start, absolutely gorgeous autumn or not autumn, but evening skybox here outside of Mechagon. Come here at about late evening, and you're going to see something really gorgeous. But I'm outside the dungeon first because I want to show you where it is in case you guys aren't aware. This is the island of Mechagon. Maybe you're new to the patch or you haven't played much recently. It was added in 8.2 and it was a really big world content area. But you literally don't even have to you don't have even know where this is if you don't want to do that. And the way you get there without knowing where it is just simply flying from Drustvar. There's actually a little island that you could kind of embark from. And if you fly straight to Mechagon, you will not die to fatigue. It's a little close, but you should make it no problem. And once you're here, you don't have to have any of the quests or any of the story unlocked. You can literally just fly right into the dungeon. So just in case you're super new and you don't know anything about that, the dungeon is just right here. And you can enter it right here. And there's actually another thing that you're going to want to know about when we enter. I'll show you. There's actually 2 different ways to start this dungeon. In order to start the workshop one, which I'm not 100% sure is mandatory, but everybody does it. I'm pretty sure you'll want to do it. So there's actually this little gnome here, Jamie Gearnock, and you're going to talk to him, and it will take me into the workshop as the dialogue, and it's going to just take you to the second half of Mechagon. Now, it's not allowing you to go out or go forward at all, so you couldn't do this and benefit from doing this on Mythic 0, but you can do it for Mythic Plus. Obviously, that's the goal. So we're going to get started here. Anything to say before we do, Comp?
Not a darn thing. I'm actually kind of excited for this. This is going to be fun.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we're gonna try to do the dungeon. We're not gonna try to time it or anything like that, but we're gonna try to do the dungeon just like we do normally. But we're actually doing it on Mythic Plus for the first time. We could have did this the whole time on the PTR. I forgot this was a feature, but this is actually a really good tip for you guys who may be new to dungeons. You can actually go on the PTR and make any key you want, any level you want. This is a level 2 with Awakened, so you can actually test the affixes out if you want to check that out yourself. But anyway, we're going to. See immediately here there's a lot of trash, and I don't exactly full disclosure here, we wanted to wait to make these videos because I didn't know a lot about the dungeons yet, and frankly I still don't know everything I would probably need to know here. But this first pack, as you see these saw blades coming around, it's mostly just kill everything fast. Like there's a lot of trash, but none of it's particularly dangerous. Some of it does a cast, which I'll point out when it happens, but otherwise, just try to dodge the environmental effects like those saw blades coming, and just try to keep everything as interrupted as possible because they all do casts and they all do varying things. As you see there, that detonate on this bomb tonk, that's the one thing you really want to watch out for. Explodes for a good amount of fire damage, and just kill everything as fast as possible. Actually has a fair amount of health. We'll see how this boss goes.
This is it's going to be fun.
Okay, so back up a bit. Make sure we don't aggro these bosses. So these are the combination of the first boss here. If you did this on Mechagon, like Mythic 0, you might notice that the boss, Platinum Pummeler, has much less health than No Mercy for You, but that wasn't the case on Mythic 0. They actually had the same health. They nerfed it because, I guess they believed that making the tank have to deal with this mechanic is enough to kind of make that mob much easier to kill. And in my experience, in fact, I think it happened when you and I did this run, it was actually just quicker to kill the pummeler. Like, running him between these 3 hammers doesn't really take that long. and he's just got half the health. So basically what you want to do is you want to just start by fighting No Mercy for You. That's the tank on the right. And you know, DPS and healer, you guys are going to be focusing on this thing. Tank is going to be focusing on platinum pummeler. You're going to be moving them between these hammers. Now, I'm not 100% sure if you need to go to 3 separate hammers. That's what I usually do anyway, and even on Mythic Plus it works fine. But you know, maybe you can literally just stay at 1. I don't really know if that's true or not, but you know, maybe you guys do in the comments section. I like to just go to 1, then 2, and then the third one over here. And by the time you get to the third one, usually No Mercy for You is about usually about half health. So like I said, you could probably just legitimately kill them both at the same time at that point, or even kill the pummeler faster. The big thing here, though, if I was to give one tip on this fight, it would be move away from when the tank is doing these flame jet mechanics. It is so freaking painful, and even if you're not next to him, you still take some fire damage. So healers, you're going to want to be very aware of that mechanic happening, and obviously melee DPS, you're going to just want to evacuate the area. Now the other thing he does is he kind of charges around. I believe he charges at a player, and then it kind of goes through that player against the wall. So, for example, like, you know, with where Cop is now, it would just shoot through him and try to go to the wall over here. So you just want to make sure you're not in the way of it, because it does a lot of damage, and I imagine on Tyrannical it might one-shot you. So just keep that in mind. But as I think there's a threat target. Did you notice that at
Yeah,
all?
I got threat in that in our 15 a few times.
Yeah, so I didn't really like think about that when I was tanking the other dude. I don't know if I want to try to keep both of them together though, but yeah, I guess tanks you want to try to keep threat on both of them. When I've done this in the past, I didn't even have threat, and like I said, I literally didn't even know that Cop had threat there, and it wasn't even a problem. So yeah, I mean, whatever. I guess get threat, no big deal. But either way, I don't think he hits hard enough. Like, it's just the mechanics. So let's have a go and see what happens. So you see the maximum thruster immediately, and it knocks Cop back as I predicted. While he's handling that, I'm going to take this thing here. The whirling edge mechanic as well on this mob. Not a lot of danger, but you know, it is going to do some AoE damage. So again, healer, you're going to be aware of that. There's also these saw blades, just like we kind of saw in the trash before. Just a lot of ambient stuff going on. Little bombs on the ground. And there's the vent jets, which is the mechanic I was talking about, similar to the Flame Leviathan Flame Jets mechanic from Old War. Very famous mechanic and very famous boss. And I guess, yeah, if I'm too close to this, I get stunned too, so that actually happened there. But yeah, these saw blades, they knock you back. They do more damage than you might think. But otherwise, as you see here, we're actually, you know, in all this time, this guy still has less health. We could literally kill this thing still before the tank, which I think is probably a good option, because once this guy's dead, the fight gets a lot easier.
Well, yeah, because you can then keep threat on the tank, right?
Yeah, it's just a lot easier to keep everything under control when there's only the one target. I gotta move out of that jet there, man. That does a lot of fire damage, I'll tell you. I did it the other day, and I got almost one shot by it as a tank, so... And imagine that there does a fair amount of damage.
Almost one-shot me.
Okay, there's that charge. So you just gotta be aware of these mechanics, because you know they're gonna add up. They might not kill you individually on a lower key, especially, but you gotta be aware of them, because if you get hit by multiple at once, I don't think the healer's gonna keep you up. You see, other than this, he doesn't really do anything, you know. So he's gonna force us to move away from him. But other than that, like, I mean, it even says here movement speed slowed by 60%, so it's very easy to stay away from. Really, you're just kind of dodging these saw blades more than anything, kind of being aware of ambient damage throughout the fight, and you know, just chipping away at him when you can. Yeah, so there he picked me for that maximum thrusters ability. It was targeted at my original location, and I was easily able to dodge it. So just keep your eye on it, especially if you're not actually attacking that, or you know you're at ranged. It might go through the person it's targeting and still hit you, which is obviously a sub. Let's stay in. I'm gonna stay in and see how much damage this does. It's doing about 16k damage, and that's on not 2. So it's gonna be pretty dangerous, I think.
Yeah. Because I think on that 15 it was like almost 300% damage, so...
Yeah, I did it on, I can't remember what key level, it wasn't 15, but I did it on maybe like 13, and I think I got hit for about 60% of my health with one tick of it, so, and that's as a blood DK. Now, okay, so let's talk about the rest of the dungeon, because this dungeon might be semi-famous for a couple things, okay? And I don't want to bring these up unless you, you know, especially if you're brand new to this. There's no reason to cloud your judgment on what's going on in this dungeon, but just be aware it's going to be a very, very unique dungeon on certain affixes. And pretty much any boss week, I think this is going to be a very difficult week. But any trash week, I think this is probably the easiest dungeon in the game. And I'm going to show you why as we go. But before we do, I just want to note that this mob over here, I put a blue marker on its head. If for some reason you need to leave, you can go and talk to him. He will port you out, I believe, or up above. I don't know, somewhere not here. You can't actually get back because we fall down that garbage chute thing. So anyway, let's get started here. Waste producing or processing. This mob has 2 mechanics, nothing really crazy. But the main thing here is that you want to make sure you're facing him away. If you're the tank, he's going to do a frontal cleave. Now, when I was doing this, yeah, you see it kind of turns at the last second. Not really ideal. So just be aware of that, because if you turn him at, you know, you're trying to dodge it, and if you turn him at the last second, you might turn into your group, right? And then there's Mega Drill. Great move in Pokemon, not a very dangerous move in World of Warcraft, so easily just dodge that big gray kind of brown outline, just move out of that. Now, here we are with the first obelisk, but let's do the rest of the trash first, and then we'll talk about the obelisk in depth, okay? So again, another one of these. Usually I probably would have pulled both of those together. On the PTR, or not, this is the PTR, on, you know, before in Mythic 0, I used to be able to grip these mobs, and I think I used to be able to stun them too, but I can't grip them anymore. I don't know if that was changed intentionally or what, but when I did this on 0, I used to just grip these 2 together and we just kill them quick. But, you know, if it's not bolstering, it's nothing like that. It is bolstering current week we're recording this, first week of the season, but yeah, won't be bolstering again for a while, so happily grab everything together here, no problem. And now coming up to a rather infamous element, these living wastes. Okay, so they're basically busting the trash pack. The affix is kind of here in rare form. Honestly, they're gonna basically hit you for probably about I don't know. It's gonna depend on the key level as well. We did this on 15 last night, and literally everybody but me got one shot when we killed all 5 of them together. Basically, what they do is when they die, they explode, and I don't think there's any way to get out of it, but you can line of sight it. Now, I don't really know what the best options for line of sighting it are, and I wonder, you know, how good the line of sight has to be. Like if you can use these little kind of areas here, or whatever else is on the ground. I don't know.
Maybe the
for
obelisk?
me as a tank, I was thinking the obelisk, but I don't. You know, you could run through it, so I don't think it's line of sight. But I don't know. For me as a tank, I don't really care. I'm just gonna AMS. I'm gonna survive easily. But you guys are DPS. You're gonna have to figure this out. So yeah, I guess let's try. I'll try to drag it like right against this little lip here, and then maybe you could hide like right here and see when they explode. See if it works.
Sounds
but,
good.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. And fast. Did it work?
I did not take any damage when I was that, but I might have been too far away.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't really know exactly where the best place to line of sight that pack is, but this pack's easy. You just tank them right here, and then you could line of sight on this little pillar here. And again, I'm not really scared of pulling extra trash here. These mobs are all pretty easy to kill, so just make sure that you're not facing that at your group, and kill everything evenly if you can. Yeah, Cop could use that pillar to line of sight. You don't have a lot of time. You got to be ready. But, you know, it gives you enough time. You just got to be close to it when you do it, and, yeah, just react quickly. Otherwise, this dog, forgot about this mob, this junkyard dog. The only thing I could see it does is this tank mechanic and then this flaming refuse, which is a dispellable debuff. Don't have anybody dispel in this group, which might be a small problem, but it's just magic damage, not really that dangerous. Yeah, I wouldn't really be worried about it. If you're the healer, you can dispel magic. Otherwise, just survive it as a tank or whoever goes. I'm not going to go on the tank very often in my experience. It always picks one of the ranged. I saw it on a mage a lot. We had a mage in one group, just kept going on him. It's the same deal here. I can just you know, drop D&D and pull these back to this pillar here, and we'll kill him, and then cop a line of sight. And I will not, and I'll be fine either way. Yeah, ideally you kill them all at the exact same time. Obviously, it doesn't really matter. Especially, you know, if you kill them all at the exact same time, as you see, cop 100% health. So, really, that's very nice to do that. Yeah, as you're seeing, you're kind of getting a bit of a trend here. This trash is very low danger, very low, like there's almost little effort involved in even dealing with. For at least the first half of the dungeon, that's going to be true, and you're really not going to see a lot of trash. But we are doing this on the PTR for Awakening because this is very important, this affix, okay? And I really, first of all, I should warn you that when we did this yesterday together, it was actually bugged, and maybe it'll be bugged again right now. I don't know. Don't go in yet, but we will find out. What the bug was that when we went in, we just immediately got kicked out. Wasn't actually a problem in the end. In fact, if we knew it was bugged the whole time, we could have heavily gamed that, used that to our advantage. But let's talk a little bit about Awakening, because this is now the first video that we've made with Awakening in place. And even though this is not a series on the affix, I do want to at least bring that up because it's very, very, very relevant for this dungeon. It's always relevant, but it's more relevant for this dungeon than I'd say most dungeons. So the first one is always going to be here. I think how it works is these 4 obelisks are going to be exactly the same spot every week, but they are going to alternate which mobs are at them. That could play a bit of a factor, but as a new player, you probably don't need to worry about this. Just be aware that this is the first one. You're going to go in here, and I don't see any reason to skip anything. In fact, there's nothing really you can skip other than this easy trash that is not going to be to your benefit. So we're going to go in here. We're going to fight this guy. He is just this is the fear mob. You might hear people say that. He's going to fear 3 people randomly with varying lengths. They're magic debuffs. So the healer could dispel one of the 3. If you're really sharp, you could dispel the shortest one and then the longest one within that 8-second window. It has to be perfect, though. Otherwise, you won't get it off in time. Doesn't really matter. The big thing here is these ads. They do a lot of damage. The ads that are part of this one are far more dangerous than the boss. In fact, really, both together are very dangerous. So let's go ahead and see what happens. Okay, so we didn't get kicked out.
That's good.
I could AMS this fear. Any other magic immunity will work. Oh, Cop's crushing that first mob. That's very good. Yeah, you really want to kill these mobs fast because they put this bleed on you. It's very dangerous. In fact, I expect to die here. We'll see how fast we kill them. Feared, of course, because there's no healer, so you're just not going to stop that. The other thing about the fear is, though, okay, we killed him. Nice. The other thing about the fear is that it will hit others. So if you have the fear on you and there's somebody standing in your fear, they will also get feared because it's very scary. This mob is very scary, as you can tell. So yeah, just got to deal with the ads, though, and once you do, you're all set. One last fear for good measure, and that's that. He will be dead. So wherever he dies, he opens a portal. So we're gonna talk about why that's important. But yeah, we're good. You can kill him. Anyway, yeah, it's not really a problem. Basically, like I'd say, like if you're like completely new to this affix and you don't know anything about it, I'd say 9 out of 10 times, literally, even if you just killed the mob where it stood, you probably wouldn't be that detrimental. There's probably like 3 or 4 dungeons out there where that's definitely not true, and this is one of them. That's why we wanted to make it. So. That'll be the last we talk about that for a while. We'll kill the rest of them, but for now we got to do Kojo or Kujo, whatever. It's the next boss. This is probably one of the easiest bosses in the game, honestly. I'm going to go through all of its mechanics, and that's literally all it's going to do. It's going to drop these boxes down on the ground, and every once in a while it's going to radiate a ton of flame damage. He's going to channel it for about 10 seconds. You're going to use these boxes to line a sight. After you use the box, it is then going to be on fire. You cannot use it a second time. The next time he does the mechanic, that box will explode, but there will always be a second box down before the first one explodes. So you're just going to go to the box that is not on fire every time and hide behind it. Make sure you're behind it. You could, cheese it a little bit. You could get out in front and make sure to maximize your damage, but just be aware that if you stay out from probably more than 1 tick, you're probably going to die, and that's just not fair to your healer. There's no reason to put that stress on him. The big thing here, though, is the other mechanic. He kind of like jumps on people, and it's very similar to the mechanic in Temple of Sothralis first boss. If it hits a person, it'll splash damage. So, if me and Cop are standing right next to each other and he jumps to Cop, I'm going to take damage too. Then he might jump to me, and then he's going to take damage too. So, obviously, you want to spread out. That's a long story short there. But the main thing here is you want to make sure he doesn't jump on the box. If he does jump on the box, he will break it, and then you will be broken because you will die to the fire. You get it? So this is very, very important. And another thing that I didn't actually know was possible was you could actually dodge this mechanic as well. Do you have any insight? You did this yesterday.
Oh yeah, I it's one of those things I didn't know but I knew that there was something to do with distance, so it's like, I'm getting the heck as far away from everybody else as I can. I used my flying serpent kick, and he didn't do any damage to me. Didn't even hit me.
Yeah, I wonder if it was because you were rolling or moving at the time. But yeah, Cop legitimately dodged this mechanic like about, I think it probably happened like 6 times, and he dodged it like 4 out of 6 times. Like it just didn't hit him. So I don't know if that's because he was so far away from the boss. To be fair, you were like 150 yards away from the boss. I wouldn't really recommend that. It's not that dangerous, and obviously you don't want to kill your DPS. But if it is possible to dodge it, then we'll have to consider that for really high keys. But otherwise, that's literally the only mechanic he does. The only reason I am a little apprehensive of this is because the other mechanic he does is a debuff, a magic debuff, which is not dangerous at all, but it has to be dispelled. It never goes away otherwise. So I'm worried that if we don't kill him quick enough, I might die. So I'm going to have to focus on killing him as fast as possible here. But if you're just doing this normally, this is like the easiest mechanic ever in the game. You literally just press the dispel button and it's gone. So let's see what happens. So there's the box. Just want to move them away from it just in case, kind of give people a little bit more. And then you see that debuff. It does a lot of damage and it's going to stack, so where you're taking a lot of damage. Okay, there's flame vents. It's ready at 50 some now. Throw me some heals maybe? That's good. Keep damaging. Die. Okay, let's see. I think I might get might be able to AMS it. It's a little bit of a shame. I wanted to do this on Mythic Plus, so we can do it for sure. Maybe you could finish him actually if you kill him quick. We'll see. But yeah, I wanted to finish him on Mythic Plus. I want to do this dungeon on Mythic Plus because I want to show you the placements. But I knew this was going to be very difficult because it stacks and it does a lot of damage. So let's see if somehow, I don't know if Cop could survive it, but probably not. You don't actually have the debuff on you, so you just survived the melees. But oh, let's heal. Run, hide behind the box, heal yourself. Top yourself off. You can probably finish it. You have CDs? What CDs are up?
Almost none.
It's fine, kill him. He's only got 450k. It's like a rare. That's crazy. Cop did it, dude.
I'm getting better, brother.
Noob to pro, dude. When we started this series, Cop wouldn't even know what buttons to press to fight this mob. Now he just soloed a freaking Mythic Plus boss. So I think, I don't want to say conclusively, but I'm pretty sure that that was only doable because he will not put that debuff on a tank. You never got that debuff once.
Not at all.
And you fought that boss longer than I did. So that means I had 3 when I died and you had 0. So that's interesting. So maybe that's something to keep in mind, that you cannot get that debuff as a non-tank. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing I noticed is, like, I have a thing that dispels magic. So even if he'd have put it on me, I probably could have dispelled myself, right? Because I have that diffuse magic, which generally gets me out of a lot of magic stuff. So
uniquely equipped to solo the last 40% of that boss. So, all right, so let's talk about the rest of this dungeon because it's going to get a little weird. This is a death trap here. If you fall in this, you die, and I've seen people do it, so please do not do it. Okay, it's a little conveyor belt, which, you know, if you walk on it, it's going to funnel you into that, but you'd have to be AFK for that to happen. But the problem here is these flame vents on the wall. Now, I don't know if they scale with the key or fortified or something, but I got destroyed by these things when we did this last night. I almost died running up this, so you're going to want to be careful of this, and obviously you're going to want to make your way as fast, as safe as possible. But this is kind of going to be the theme of the rest of this run here, is there's going to be a lot of kind of annoying things going on the map itself. Like, it's not even really part of the challenge. It's just annoying, and it's, like, you know, going to slow you down. So this is one of them for sure, and I say if you die here, that is a big problem. So just be ready. Once one person gets up here, they can click these buttons, and it will disable the actual fire part, not the conveyor part. Now, There's a couple tricks that you can do as a demon hunter. You can jump, double jump, and glide, and you can kind of like where my mouse is now, where you start, and you could kind of jump and then glide over here, so you can skip about like 70% of it. That's pretty useful. Obviously, Death Knight could Death's Advance. This prevents all knockbacks, which is technically this for some reason. So I run like I'm not actually being knocked back at all, which means I'm very fast. Any speed boost obviously helps, but you're going to want to make sure you don't run so fast that you fall off. And just be aware some of these corners can be a little tight. If you cut the corner the wrong way, you might actually fall off without realizing you're off the platform. So
just to follow that up, for a monk, it's really dangerous because you don't necessarily have control of where you're going to stop if you're trying to roll through that conveyor belt. So you can easily, if you underestimate your roll, fall off by trying to go too fast. So just easier to go slow.
Okay, so here's something that we made a mistake on. These yellow mobs, they don't give count. They don't help you at all. You don't need them even if they did give count. And there's a lot of them. So you know what? Let's not aggro them. How about that? Just run up here. The mobs will run away. Don't aggro them like I did the other night. And I literally died to those yellow mobs. So that is something to note. But anyway, this little area here is going to be kind of like a gauntlet. There's going to be a couple mob types. The main here is this Tinkerer. You're going to see this mob a lot coming up here. It's going to do this mechanic called Giga Wallop, and it's really, really dangerous. Other than that, these mobs are going to get summoned by these mobs. These little exploding on the ground things. Just get out of them. Very easy. Nothing special. But, if you're in that, you die. Okay, so let's put that on tape. Anti-personnel, whatever it is. Little squirrel on. As you see, I'm getting destroyed. I'm getting Giga Walloped. Like, let's put it that. But then as soon as you kill these 3 mobs, or 4, whatever there is at the time, there will be another 3 that spawn. I'll have another set of mechanics. It's a little gauntlet, but you can just run out. Like, here, follow me. I'm going to show you. Although my corruption tentacle's there, it's probably going to aggro it. But yeah, if you're back here, yeah, we're good. If you're back here, the mobs, they won't aggro. So if you need to get out of combat, you can do that. It's not really, whatever. If you need to do it, go for it. But you probably don't want to do it because you're in a timed dungeon. So you probably want to go fast. Now this arcing zap, I believe this is the dispellable mechanic. Is there something on you? This is.
Yes, and I dispelled it.
Yeah. So, and then the short out mechanic is just kind of an AoE around the mob as you see the kind of brown dust. You just want to be outside of that, otherwise these mobs aren't very dangerous. But again, you're going to see these mobs throughout the rest of the dungeon here, and fighting 3 of them at once is. So it looks like they do an absorb shield, which is a magic debuff. So I bet that can probably be dispelled if you're, or demon hunter or something like that. What the hell was that?
I don't know. I just got like almost completely one shot, and then I died.
Oh, you did die. Okay. I was confused because your character was just kind of standing there and then it disappeared. I didn't know what happened.
The PTR, a little bit of lag, I think.
Welcome to yeah, I think it is. Yeah. But anyway, while Cop returns, I'll explain this a little bit. Nothing really too crazy here, but this is a lot more important. This is another mob you're actually going to fight along the way outside of the dungeon 3rd boss area. But he's got a little bit more importance here. The main thing here is that he's going to kind of try to silence about 3/4 of the room. And if you get hit by that, you're going to get silenced for a long time. You're also going to take a lot of damage. So you're going to want to make sure you find the 1/4 of the room that is open. You'll see it when we fight. It's very obvious if you're looking for it, but it's kind of hard to see it otherwise. And then the only other mechanics that he does like a frontal kind of laser blast. If you get hit by that, I believe you also really silent, like it's like 15-second silence or something ridiculous. Does a fair amount of damage too, so definitely don't get hit by that. And then he kind of shoots out these little red rockets. I think it kind of maybe like 5 little clusters of rockets shoot out. If you get hit by them, you'll probably take a lot of damage, but otherwise, pretty straightforward. A little mini boss, but not really that dangerous. Good place to use CDs though, because you're going to come up to a little bit of a lull. So there's that sonic pulse. That's the long kind of laser blast I was talking about, and just dodge that. And then here's the fire, so we're just going to move. See, it's kind of in that general area. Looks like he targeted me with it. Sonic pulse again on Cop, easily dodged. And now he's going to do the whatever. He's going to fill up the room. There it is, capacitate or discharge. You're just going to find the 1/4 of the room that is not being whatever discharged onto. however you say that. And it happens 3 times total, and then that's that. Easy to dodge. Painful if you do not dodge it, though. I always try to go this way. This is not a way, so don't go this way. All right, instead we're going to go this way here. And again, bunch of yellow mobs. Don't aggro the yellow mobs, all right? They do damage, all right? And you don't want to fight them, no reason to. So next up is another very infamous area, what I was talking about, what I was alluding to when I was talking about this earlier. This is an area that can honestly just ruin your key. Like, you have so much freaking there's a lot of RNG here, honestly. These bots kind of just do what they want. We're not actually going to do it though, Cop, so I'm going to show you a little trick here. We didn't get to execute this last night because of the bug, but a nice little tip here is that this obelisk that's out here will take you into the other realm, and that realm does not have the robots in it. So you can literally run right past that whole nonsense gauntlet and never have to deal with it. So that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to show you the first, what I believe to be mandatory skip using an obelisk. Now, the problem here is, and again, I don't want to go too much into this fix, but the spider is a very skippable mob. If you were not going to pull one of the obelisks, it would be the spider. But here, it's just too valuable not to pull. Like, you really want to skip that stupid thing, because I don't care how good you are at it, how good you think you are at it, it's going to waste time. It might not waste, minutes, but it's going to waste time one way or the other. There's no reason to do it. Just click the obelisk, get it out of there. So we're going to fight the spider. There's ads on the spider as well. They're going to explode. Giant green circle, just run out of that. Otherwise, interrupt the spider, long story short. So let's go ahead and go in. Cop and I are going to kill the ads. We're going to drag the spider as we go. And just, be careful at close quarters here. And especially since there's only 2 of us, we're going to have some problems with this mechanic. Probably, the debuff is going to go out multiple times. We're not going to be able to interrupt it. So, yeah, and anytime we have to move, I'm just going to move it through this direction here. And eventually we will come out on the other side. And we will have skipped this stupid robot thing. See, as you see, the robots are here, but they can't see me because I am in the shadow realm, or whatever you call it. But yeah, 2 mechanics on this mob. Both need to be interrupted. Very dangerous. One's a curse, one's a poison or disease. So paladin can get one, curse, shaman can get the other, mage can get the other, etc. But yeah, relatively dangerous. I have both on me. As you see, movement speed reduced by 70%, and the other one's a casting speed reduction. So yeah, not an ideal scenario. Yeah. Anyway, wherever this mob dies is where you come out. So you just want to make sure you come out at the right spot. If you check on the channel, you'll see a relatively humorous moment where a tank did not come out on the right spot. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I don't know, whatever needs to be said there, but just make sure that you have it at the right spot. And this one's one of the harder ones to move because he's literally just going to chain cast. So if you don't have a lot of, if you can't interrupt him a lot, he's going to really be hesitant to move. So there we kind of line of sighted it to get it here, but otherwise, yeah, right here is perfect because, this is where you would want to be anyway. You'd come out this side of the thing and you'd be in this fog here. So you just click it. As soon as it dies, it spawns a portal. These portals are here permanently, so no matter what happens here, we can skip. We can use these portals again to come back. So once you click, you'll be on the other side, and that's it. So this is a really tough trash pack. Honestly, one of the harder packs in the game. I would say it's the hardest pack in here, but it's not. It's the hardest pack you're going to fight, though. So this is a really good time for CDs. The problem is the boss is right after it. And if you guys know me by now, I hate using CDs before a boss. But on a fortified week, you're just going to have to. This is way too dangerous. One thing I will say is I believe it's these defenders, one of these mob types, they drop a little golden dome, and it reduces the damage you take by, I believe, like 25%. And it can stack if there's multiple down. It will be a lot of damage reduction. The mob stand in it, they take reduced damage. The cop stands in it, he takes reduced damage. Let me tell you about how much cop likes reduced damage. So
it's true.
Yeah,
I love reduced damage.
It would be a good idea to stand in that. Let's put it that way. This pack is very dangerous. So you could also stand in it as a tank. If you position all the mobs very finely, you can have them out of it and you in it. It's a little bit hard to do. I don't like to do it unless there's only 1 or 2 mobs left, but you can do it. So let's see. So Giga Wall still going off. Want to make sure you're interrupting it, and then again here you see I'm in the mob. 1 mob is in it, I think, but I'm in it. They're not mostly, and that's a dodge anti-personnel squirrel thing again. And yeah, there's a lot of options here. A lot of interrupt value, and a lot of mechanics happening. But again, relatively generous trash, very dangerous, but gives you a way to deal with it. So shield generator is going to. It does have a health bar, so don't accidentally kill it, I guess. But yeah, and this tune-up, this is coming from the mechanic. This is, I believe, healing it. Yeah, this is healing it, and then it gives it a overclock mechanic, which is a computer reference. If anybody out there uses a computer. Did you use a computer, Cop?
No, I never heard of these computer things.
Yeah, you play on what, PS4?
Yeah, something like that. I have a calculator. Graphing calculator.
You used the calculator, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you died, yeah, okay. Well, good, you can release and show them how to use the portal again, then.
Absolutely. Of course, I'm back at Cujo, but I'll be a minute.
Okay, yeah, you can show them how to do the...
I'll just go at the first portal and...
Yeah.
All the way through.
Well, while Cop returns, I'm actually going to tell you a little bit about the bug we encountered and how we solved it. So, like I said, the first two obelisks were... they were actually bugged, and we could not enter them. Well, we could enter them, but we couldn't stay in them. Like, literally, we'd get kicked out within a second. Even though we were able to aggro the mobs and stuff down there, we'd get kicked out. And if that happens to you, don't be too worried. If you kill this third boss here, for some reason it fixes itself. This obelisk here, we also had the problem with when we got here originally. We could not enter it. And then when we killed the third boss, we could enter it. And once you've gone in, the mob spawns in that realm permanently. So just like these portals are here permanently, so is the mob if it's alive. That means even though we went in and got kicked out, the mob did spawn. So what we were able to do was we were able to go in this one and then go back to the other two and kill them individually. And it actually created a situation where it was a little bit exploitative because the mobs were all there and they were all kind of just split pullable. Like we were able to isolate individual mobs. You know, like typically you go in and you fight like 6 things, the big guy and then the 5 small mobs or whatever it is. But when we went in there this way, they were all just kind of standing there. So I was able to like death grip a single one, kill it if we wanted to. So for some reason you're having that much trouble with this affix, which you won't ever have that much trouble with this affix. But just in case you are, just have somebody go in, die, and then leave. And then you can go in again afterwards with another obelisk and then split pull all the trash. But anyway, let's go in the blob. This one's, again, just kill the blob. It's going to drop stuff on the ground. And it's going to summon these eye stalks. They mind flay on a target. It can be dispelled. It can also be interrupted. It could be stunned. You want to do all of these things because this thing hurts and it slows you. So really the big problem here is getting out of the stuff on the ground, and it's going to make it kind of hard to kite this one. So if there was a second hardest one to kite, it would definitely be this one, just because there's going to be a lot of stuff on the ground. So if you put stuff on the ground at the wrong time, you won't be able to keep him where you want. So you just got to be really aware of that. And you kind of want to, you're probably going to have to take a little bit extra damage along the way. You'll know that you're standing in it though, because it changes the way the color of the screen looks. In fact, Jix, maybe, I don't know exactly, but people say like if you're standing in it, it looks like you're not in the phase anymore, just because the way it changes the color of the screen. But I mean, I think it's pretty clear that you're still in the phase either way. But you know, just in case you notice the color of the screen, that means that you're standing in something. So just move out of that. Now here it doesn't matter. We're not going to be able to skip anything at this point, which is like, well, we're going to skip the boss. We can't skip the boss, right? You think we can skip the boss?
Nah, well, we could, but we'd have to come back for it anyway.
Yeah, so we're just going to use this upper portal here because it's a little safer. You come out down there, you might pull the boss. But anyway, let's talk about boss number Trace. Head Mechanist Spark Flux. This is actually a complicated encounter, but mechanically, the way it overlaps is a little dangerous, so it's more mechanically difficult than it is numerically difficult. What he's going to do is he's basically going to have a bunch of different things that you need to dodge. There's going to be these giant gears kind of bouncing around the room trying to hit us. If they hit you, they do a fair amount of physical damage. I think that's it. I don't think they put a bleed or anything like that. But it is dangerous, so you're going to want to dodge it. All the while, you're going to have to dodge a fire line. He's going to do that probably about 3 or 4 times in the fight, depending on how long you fight him. Basically, these little sprockets are going to come out of the walls, or not out of the walls, but actually that center. It's like a fountain. It's gonna, it's like a statue of King Mechagon. It's gonna come out of that fountain, and then it's gonna spin in one direction. You have to quickly identify which direction it's spinning, and then you have to dodge it. If you're in a bad position, just run through it, and the aggroed. Just run back. If you're in a bad position, just run through it and then follow it. Like, don't let it hit you twice, but there's no reason to panic. You know what I mean? It's not the end of the world. It does a good amount of fire damage, but it's easily, you'll survive. DK can AMS, etc. But yeah, otherwise, just look where they are before they start shooting fire. They'll come out about 5 seconds before they start shooting fire. So you should know where the fire lines are going to come. I'll show that on the fight. But yeah, just get out of the way there. And then the other big thing is he's going to summon this little flower-looking ad. It's going to basically just do damage to you, long story short. Best idea is to just kill it. You probably don't need to focus a full team on it. Last night we did, but honestly, it was a little overkill. If we just had one good range DPS, they'd be able to get it 100% of the time. We had no range, though, so we just kind of all went over to it. And good idea if you're going to do that. Just tank the boss on top of it because, you know, faster to clear everything down. So, yeah, these mechanics, they're not a lot of them, but they're going to overlap a lot. And the longer the fight goes, the worse it gets. We actually saw this last night. There's a lot of gears, a lot of things going on. So definitely kill them fast, use your CDs on the pole, and, you know, let's see what happens here.
Welcome to my garden, trespassers. Like you could use a trim.
So there, as you see, one gear out and one blossom. Oh, yeah, and then there's also these little things kind of hitting the ground. I mean, I didn't even remember that was to tell you everything you need to know. So there's the flame cannons. As you see, they come out a little early, and we're just going to run with them. You really only need to run probably about 40% of the room and then stop. They don't move that far, so this is pretty safe. You see they stop right there. So just make sure you're dodging all the things, and don't get hit by gears, because they hit hard. They really do. I got almost killed by these gears last night. Yeah, as you see, a bunch of fire mechanics, little blue swirls, little red swirls, little cop swirls. So I don't know.
Those are my clones. They're not swirls. They're clones.
Yeah, there you go. But as you see, these gears kind of take an odd, they bounce off the wall a little bit. So just, you know, play it safe. Don't let it hit you. If you have to move it the last second, that's fine. Kill these flowers if you have to, I guess. I don't know. Now there's the cannons again. As you're going to see, we're going to be in a pretty bad position here. I'm still going to be able to do it, but, you know, I'm just going to show what it's like to go through. Just go through and then make sure it doesn't hit you a second time. And as you see, pretty nasty, 43,000 fire damage on a 2, so... yeah, you better be aware. I think that's pretty dangerous. Again, you can AMS. It's the dot, though, so you can just AMS the dot, and then it won't apply to you. I did that all the time on normal, much to the chagrin of my melee. I would just kind of stand there and let the thing pass over me with AMS up. But as you see, these don't ever go away. We haven't really even been fighting them that long, and there's already 4 up. And a lot of mechanics happening when there's that many up. Even now, it's a little hard to dodge. Yeah, that's that. Killed the boss. Pretty good. So, pretty easy boss overall. Oh, wow. It still went out. It's funny. Okay, so I guess it's still there, and yeah, there we go. It's gone. Now, okay, so here's the last, yeah, some interesting trash on the way up here. Spider tanks. This is basically the mechanic, the mob that we were talking about before, the third mob in that little gauntlet mini area. It's got pretty much the same health, I think, actually. So, yeah, it's effectively the same mob. Just got to do the same mechanics that we did before. And it's a lot easier to fight, though, because you have a lot more room. If you want to fight them down here, it's probably for the best. Just make sure you move out of the fire, Sonic Pulse. If you get hit by that as a ranged, get hit by that as a healer, you might as well just hard. You're done healing for the dungeon. It's a really long silence. Like, I think it's like a 15-second silence, so suboptimal, as they say. Cop got hit by it like 5 times last night, by the way.
Well, the nice thing is, as a melee, it doesn't silence all of my abilities, so I can still fight. But it is kind of nasty.
He got hit pretty hard.
It is true. I learned to dodge. Let's just put it that way.
So maybe if you can give some insight, was there anything that was making it difficult for you to see it, or
it was just getting used to it because it's so low key, right? It's just these little circles, and he turns right before he does it.
Yeah, it is a pretty quick cast, only a second and a half. Okay, well, there you go. So that's pretty standard trash there, but...
And when I'm concentrating for, like, the first time trying to get a dungeon in my head, sometimes I'll miss little things like that. And it forces me to think about it. So.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so now we're going to take this Magneto craft. This is a cool little RP, but you know it's not cool when you die up here and you have to come and take this again. So don't die up here, and that's easier said than done. little bit of a long trip here because for some reason you got to go behind this stupid, I don't even know what this is, some rusted pillar. Don't go behind this thing. Come on, just take me there, you know? But now we are at the second most infamous area of the dungeon. Let's put it that way. This little area of trash is probably the hardest area of trash in the entire video game, and I say that maybe too often, but this is true. This is not an exaggeration. If for some absolute death wish reason you wanted to pull this whole hallway of trash, I think you'd probably get your character deleted. Like you'd have to level a new character. That's how hard you'd get hit by this stuff. So we've seen all of this trash already. It's not anything new, but the pack at the top of the stairs here is absolute mayhem. Like I'm talking about the hardest trash pack in the game. And even though it gives you those defense, those little grids, I would say it is almost impossible to get out of there with 5 people alive. There's ways to do it. We're not going to talk about those ways because you're just going to skip it. And Blizzard was very, very, very generous in this. Not only do they give you an obelisk here, but they give you plenty of count. You could actually skip a lot of the trash on this hallway. And I have to say, that is very, very generous. They've made this very, very easy. They could have easily made this dungeon require 100% of the count in the dungeon. That would have been the way that I expected them to go with this. And that's why I wanted to make this video after I've seen it done. Because I knew that if you had to do this pack, it was going to change everything about this key. But you don't. As long as you're doing it on 10 or higher, you can always skip this pack with the lieutenant. That's what we're going to do today. But we do have to get some trash. We need about 98% before we're done here. The lieutenants give about 2% each. And this is our last one. I think it gives like 1.68 or something like that exactly. So, but one more difficulty here, okay? These mobs are very prone to aggroing each other. See that defense bot kind of walking up there hanging out? You want to make sure you don't aggro all of this together, especially on a fortified bolstering week like it is this week. It's not going to be great. So this tinkerer here, the one kind of in the back, it's a caster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grip that in, and then the other two will kind of funnel in. And as long as you keep them here, you'll be fine. And again, you got the shield generator. So there's 2 of them. If you stood in that huge reduction, how much is that reduction? Oh, 75% actually. It's not even, it's less than, or it's more than I expected. Yeah, this pack is actually really easy as long as you don't aggro extra stuff. But, you know, we do have some issues here because there's very little room here to dodge stuff. And, you know, especially if you're not used to dodging this stuff, you might kind of overcompensate. You might run the wrong direction, and you might die to this freaking squirrel mechanic here. So I'm going to stand in both of these. Get hit by the squirrel, didn't even take damage. Well, maybe I didn't get hit by. Obviously, the mobs in here, they take 75% reduced damage. But if you absolutely had to do this, you know, just to be 100% safe, that's perfectly viable. But so as you see, this is actually the scenario I was talking about. There's not a lot of space to work with there, so kind of out of area there. Just try to avoid aggroing it if you can. Okay, cool. Got to kill these, otherwise they'll keep you in comp. Okay, we got 97%. That is not enough. We need one more mob, so we're gonna get this. Not grippable, but again, arcing zap, dispellable. I think these are the ones that are gonna do the AoE thing too, so just beware. Yeah, there it is there, short outs. Just move out of that, make sure you're not taking damage from it, unless you're sure you're gonna survive it. Okay, so we now have a little bit too much count, but that's fine. Better than not. Better than the alternative. So before we go into this obelisk, I do want to talk about this one specifically because even though we're almost exclusively using it to kite, it is still important. This is the tank obelisk, so it's dangerous for the tank. Long story short, I'm not going to go over that specifically, but the problem here is that he puts these little pustules on the ground, just like on Gahoon, if you remember doing that fight at the beginning of the expansion. And they need to be killed because while they're alive and they're max, like, you know, when you're standing in their thing, you get a very bad slow. And not only are you trying to move out of a mechanic, but you're also trying to kite this mob. So don't risk it. All right, just get the mob past this pack as quick as possible, because I hate to tell you this, but if you mess this up, that's probably the end of the key. You're gonna spend the next hour trying to kill this trash pack here. So don't mess this up. Just run with this mob, get it there. You got plenty of space to fight once you're in the boss's room, and just don't mess this up. I'm telling you, I've seen this happen already a couple times this season. people think they could run at the last second and some stupid range, combustion up. They kill it before it gets there, and it causes all kinds of problems. So let's go in. You'll see it here. The tank mechanic is going to happen. That's pretty much not even going to be a problem on it too. But you'll see this is the problem here. You see these mobs. They actually form a pretty decent lineup here. So we got to kill these quick because we're trying to kite, and we got to get going. So it doesn't really slow you down too much, but if you're a DPS, you want to probably, especially in this scenario, you want to get out ahead of these, break these early so we can then kite. And as you see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mobs in this pack. 2 of the robots that do the AoE, 2 of the guys that summon the squirrels, and then you got your shield generators and all that. So anyway, that Dark Fury mechanic, just move out of that. That's kind of for everybody, but if you get hit by it as a tank, it's going to make the rest of the mechanics a lot. And then otherwise, he does the Spirit Breaker, which doesn't do a ton of damage. It's really overblown how much damage it does, but the actual problem is that you then take 100% more damage. So if you got hit by that and then this, which I don't think is actually mathematically possible, but whatever his auto attacks are doing, it's going to do a lot more. So I guess one thing that Jix actually brought up, which is something to bring up here, is that this 100% damage is all damage. So if you have a lot of corruption and you're getting hit by any of that corruption effects, you're going to probably get killed. You're going to take 100% more damage. So just keep that kind of stuff in mind, but again, not really anything crazy.
Jix takes way too much corruption anyway, so.
Yeah, he's like the Houston Astros, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so let's get out. We have now successfully executed probably the most important skip in the game, frankly. Like, I can't even express how important that is. I mean, look at that pack, dude. That pack's insane.
Nice.
And once you're here, again, reminder, once you're here, this portal is here for good. Once you've executed this, that's it. You're never going to have to worry about this. You don't have, you don't only have one chance at the boss. Like, if you didn't have this and you had to use a rogue shroud, you'd only have one chance at the boss, because then shroud's not up. You know what I mean? This is the best affix in the game. Absolute genius idea. Yeah, I have to say, absolute genius idea. They did such a good job with this. But anyway, we're on to the last boss, and this is a really, really, really good fight to have an extra obelisk up. So you probably want to pull the spider, like I said. But if, in subsequent weeks you feel a little bit more confident and maybe the spider's not there in that position he was in this one or something like that, having one of the lieutenants come on this boss is actually not a problem at all. Really, it's a good thing because this first phase is very light. There's almost nothing going on. He does a blast. He hits like a specific person with kind of like a heavy damaging ability. It cannot be dodged, but he will face the target that he's targeting. So if you got 3 melee all together, the person with it is the one he's going to aim at, but he will hit the other 2. So the other 2 want to get away, and then range. It's going to go to the wall, just like a lot of mechanics like that. So just make sure you're not getting hit by the backwards mechanic of it either. And then he's just going to do a lot of magic damage to the tank. So great fight for DK, Vengeance, etc. You can AMS the damage, etc. But the main thing here is this mechanic. It's got kind of like magnets on the floor, and they're going to kind of relocate every once in a while. You'll see these big red arrows, and I'll tell you what, these are really, really, really dangerous. They were dangerous on 15 Fortified. I can't even imagine how they'll be on Tyrannical. I think Cop maybe could speak to the danger.
Yeah, I got hit a couple of times.
Cop died 3 times to that mechanic on one pull, but fine, we got it done. That's all that matters. But yeah, in phase 2 it gets a lot worse. So let's talk about phase 2. Well, also in phase 1, he lifts off from the ground and kind of channels a beam down on the ground. It does splashing damage. Not 100% sure if the farther away the less damage you take, but I know for sure if you're under him you're going to take a ton of damage. So yeah, just get far away. You can still damage him though. He's not immune, or some people think you can't damage him there. You can damage him there. Just kill him. Just do as much damage as you can at that point. So anyway, when you beat this part, then phase 2 starts, right? So then he's stunned for 6 seconds. That's how you know phase 2 begins. Then he's gonna come up right across from us. This wall opens, and he's gonna like jump in some kind of giant mech or something like that, and then the fight begins. But before it does, I want to talk about it because you kind of see the edge of this room here. That wall is right against that, and then you have another probably like 10 yards of platform that opens up. This boss's hitbox is giant. It's so big that you could be in this part here with the edge. You can be past this edge and still be hitting him. So that's almost 20 yards away from his actual center. So you want to use that to your advantage, because at that point the magnets are really close to the boss and they're kind of going back in really odd directions, side to side as well. and you can get knocked off here. You can get knocked off that side of the platform. You can get knocked off any side of the platform. So if you do get hit by a magnet, it will knock you back, and it may knock you off the platform, and it may knock you out of the key. So not good. You do not want to deplete a key over that. It's actually really dangerous. Like, legit, you could lose a key over this, but this is the easiest fight. This is probably one of the easiest last bosses in the game if you just don't get knocked off the platform. The only other mechanic he does at that point is he kind of targets like a person with this big blue beam, and it again targets them specifically. So wherever they move, it's going to go. This is a mechanic that stacks. So if you get hit by it more than once, you can take more and more damage from it. I think it's like 100% more damage from it. So the common error that's pretty much being set up to make here is if two people are standing in one, then if the second person gets the mechanic again after they got hit by it the first time, they're going to die. They cannot avoid it when it's on them, but they can avoid it when it's on another. So I think the tip here is to just, if you have it, just stand still. Don't move at all. Let the other people move for you. Unfortunately, this isn't as easy as it sounds, because a lot of the times you're going to have to move because the magnets are moving around. So if you're, really worried about this and you're not the person with the mechanic, just go to the opposite side of the room. Like, there's no way that person is then going to move like 60 yards. You know what I mean? They're not going to be able to do that. So yeah, just kind of spread out and limit your possibility of getting hit by it. If you do get hit by it, you can survive a second hit for sure. You just got to use a defensive. Depends on the key level too. I mean, if you're doing it 2 like we are, you're probably going to be fine. We are going to see this hit one of us twice, one way or the other. So maybe you'll see it today. But then the other mechanic is then he kind of like jumps away, and he kind of pulls everybody to the center of the room. There's like this little object on the ground that's pulling you to it. I don't really deal with this mechanic because I have disadvantage, so I just literally stand there and keep attacking the boss. But the problem that other non-DKs are going to face is he's going to be pulling you through the magnets, and they're going to still be out there and doing their thing. So if you get pulled into their little shock pulse that's constantly radiating out of them, you die. You take a lot of damage. And if you reach the magnet, the source of the pull-in, you also die. So very dangerous. But again, super easy to deal with. So any closing remarks before we fight?
Yeah, it like Metro says, that blue beam and those magnets, when they can overlap, that's what actually killed me 3 times. I just want to say that is what actually killed me 3 times, because I didn't realize the swirls were on me when the blue beam was on me, and I got hit by the magnets while I was standing still in the beam. So you have to be very careful to keep watching the floor even when you're in that blue beam.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. So didn't mean to call you out, Cop.
Oh, no worries, man. Hey, I was the one who died 3 times, so.
All right, here we go. Let's see what happens. Okay, there's just his auto attack, basically his pulse blast. It's not actually doing anything. And there's the mechanic. See the arrows? It's actually blue arrows. Giga Zap, that's on Cop. It's just, fair amount of magic damage, but just make sure nobody else gets hit by. And then this is literally just his auto attack, this pulse blast. Doesn't do. It looks like it kind of spreads out around you, but I don't think it does. And since there's only 2 of us, this is actually really easy. Typically, these would be going in all different directions. So your Giga Zap, I'm just gonna make sure it doesn't hit Cop. AMS, take no damage from it. But yeah, typically these mechanics, they'd be going all over the place. There's that takeoff, like I said. Let's see if we run really far away, how little damage we take. Looks like we're taking, yeah, about the same. I don't know. Maybe it's less. I don't really know. But either way, he doesn't do it for very long. So yeah, anyway, those magnets usually are going to be all over the place because there's usually people spread out. But when you're all stacked up, it's really easy to dodge. It's actually kind of like the spiders on Yasma. And maybe that's the strategy that you want to employ. You want to have everybody together so they cannot possibly hit anybody. You just all move at the same time. But that's probably not needed because this room is very big. So anyway, as you see, we're about to get stunned for 6 seconds. You cannot icebound out of this. No reason to, even if you wanted to, because the boss is not attackable until the stun is well over. But yeah, now he's going to open up this door here. And like I said, you could probably have a 20-yard extra option here. But yeah, as you're going to see, I can attack him from right here. Look at that. And you can even go a little bit further. So about, yeah, that far away. So that's pretty nuts. Make sure you don't do that, though, because then you're going to, guys going to get meleeed. So yeah, as you see, Cop's got that mechanic while we got to dodge the magnets. Now I can AMS it. It will not apply the debuff, and I'm going to get hit a second time, so it's very good. It was a good AMS, but yeah, definitely make sure that you're not getting hit by these things. Ooh, this is a really dangerous one. Sometimes when they cross through like that, that's really bad. But yeah, there's that mechano arm. As you see, it's going to try to pull us towards it. I'm just going to use Death's Advance. Literally don't even get pulled. Cop's struggling, but you know, I'm fine. So it's going to pull the magnets in with them. So that's the thing. You got to make sure that you don't get hit by those. So now all the magnets are going to come, as we see. Not too bad. Cop's easily able to dodge it, and so am I. But yeah, that's the fight. This is a very, very, very easy fight. This is a fight that's perfectly soloable as well. As long as you have a way to survive, you know, whatever it is, 100. It's a 200% extra damage from that mechanic, and you don't get hit by these things. It's perfectly. This is the easiest fight in the game, honestly. It's so freaking easy. But any mechanical error is a death, like for sure. So just gotta, you know, for me as a DK, I could easily survive this. I could just AMS the first one, and yeah, I'll be fine. I'm not gonna die to 2. That's it. Then phase 3 is him popping out for some reason. He's got like no health, but
And
there's
Cop
no
dying.
mechanics. But he does need to be killed. So make sure. Oh, you're dead.
Yeah.
So make sure your people don't go AFK. And then I'm like, oh, Cop's AFK. There you go. Just like last boss in Motherload, right?
Yeah.
It's over, but you got another probably 10 seconds to comp. So that's that. I got 435 bracers with parry. What the hell is this? Okay. Anyway, so that's it, man. This was a good one. I really wanted to do this dungeon because I feel like this was the perfect embodiment of the progression that I think we've made together and Cops made individually. Like I said, when we started doing these, why don't you tell everybody where you were at, you know?
I was a complete noob. I was actually scared of doing dungeons. Like, I got to the point, when I used to play in Wrath of the Lich King, dungeons were my favorite thing. And when Cataclysm came about, and there was that infamous dungeons were too hard, that actually caused me to stop playing for a few months, and from then on, I just really didn't like dungeons. So, I was a complete noob of BFA dungeons, and now I have a lot more confidence in them because we've done these.
Yeah, and I think I have to say, like, let's put it this way. Doing a 15 the first week was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be because upgrading a 14 was not hard. It was not hard at all, and that was my big concern. I didn't think we would have an unlimited source of keys to get them done the first week, but we did, and it's still hard. Like I know there's still people out there who struggled, so I have to say I'm quite proud of Cop. We did 2 dungeons together, and he did very well. You know, he takes his time learning mechanics, but that's fine. The first time you see any of these, it's obviously going to take you a while. So I have to say that's really impressive that within about 2 months, you developed the confidence to come in here and do the content at the highest level.
Yeah, guys, and if I can do it, anybody can. Really.
Yeah,
So don't be
that's
afraid.
the way to look at it. I think that's the truth of the matter with all facets. So just don't be scared, guys. It's just a game, and I'm here to help. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, that's it. Any closing statements about the dungeon?
I gotta say, I really am loving the Awakened affix. Like, this dungeon has really made me love it more than anything. So,
Yeah, this dungeon, it's really good. Like, I have to say, this affix, if you didn't, I'm going to say this right now. If you're watching this and you're about to do a 9 Mechagon, just go find a 10. It's literally going to be easier on 10 because you could skip the 2 worst parts of the dungeon. Like, legitimately, it is easier on a 10 because you can skip the last pack and you can skip that stupid freaking vent thing. I probably should have showed you how to do that, but I'm not going to. Just go do a 10 and skip it. Don't do that. That's so stupid that that's in the game.
absolutely.
All right, so that's that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Go ahead, do your outro.
Take care, guys. Peace. Cop out.